Oh, good. Sorry.
No, and I just wanted to remind everyone, although I'm sure this audience needs no reminding, that Obama has had some really significant flip-flops himself, gay marriage being one of them. And not to mention, finally, that Obama's own position on abortion gets no attention. And his past legislative record is so extreme that putting these two in the same category is offensive.
After the convention, they were making it sound like Mitt Romney was too conservative. He was out of the mainstream. He was crazy.
Right.
And now they're trying to say he's too moderate. I mean, this is just this is flailing from the Obama campaign.
Well, they don't know how to deal with.
He's also trying to say he's a little.
That's
moderate.
right, and they don't know quite how to deal with this new, seemingly moderate Mitt Romney. Essie, you're right; it's old news. In fact, let me just show you how old. This is Mitt Romney in 2007, and what is giving many people pause.
You've made it very clear that you're not in support of Planned Parenthood, but I'm just wondering where you would suggest that the millions of women who receive their health services, such as mammograms and HPV vaccines, go.
Well, they can go wherever they'd like to go. This is a free society. But here's what I say, which is the federal government should not tax these people to pay for Planned Parenthood.
Actually, Mitt Romney in March of this year talking about his desire to defund Planned Parenthood, something you hear many conservatives say, and they said specifically during the Republican primary. But in 2007, Mitt Romney had this to say.
I would welcome a circumstance where there was such a consensus in this country that we said we don't want to have abortion in this country at all, period. That'd be wonderful. I'd be delighted.
Would you sign that bill?
Let me say it. I'd be delighted to sign that bill, but that's not where we are. That's not where America is today. Where America is ready to overturn Roe v. Wade and return to the states that authority. But if the Congress got there, we had that kind of consensus in that country, terrific.
Now, Matt, actually, I don't know if that's that inconsistent with what he said just yesterday. I mean, he's saying there that the law of the land is such that Roe v. Wade would have to be overturned before any legislation could find its way onto an agenda. And again, today he's saying, I see no legislation in front of me regarding abortion that I would put as a priority.
He's being realistic that the fact that Roe versus Wade, the chance of it being overturned is slim to none. It really is. So he could come out there and take the far right stance on this and say, we're going to get this overturned. It's not true. So the fact that he's almost telling the truth right now, the mainstream media has nothing else to hold him against. They're going after this. And for me as a voter and all of us sitting here as voters, does this really sway your decision? Is this the last gasp of the Obama campaign? Because I really do not believe if they can hammer it, this will sway any decisions.
The way he should have said this was, look, I'm pro-life, but jobs and the economy are so important that I am not going to make it my first issue of business to pursue overturning Roe v. Wade. I mean, that is a way of saying I'm not as crazy as, some in the middle might think. But I'm committed to this position. I'm just putting the economy first. That's the argument.
Even if you look at the abortion issue, though, more than half the country is pro-life. More women right now are pro-life than pro-choice. So even if you were going to look at that and say, well, we can win some female voters. No, this is not the issue that's going to win female voters. The reason that Mitt Romney got ahead with female voters is because he started talking about jobs, which is the chief concern among voters of all genders, race. I don't care who you are. That's what people want to hear.
Some of this is parsing, but there's also a separation of powers side of this too. And when he's talking about overturning Roe v. Wade, that's the Supreme Court. He has absolutely nothing to do with that. Yeah. When he's talking about a legislative agenda, it's a legislative agenda. It's not what he wants to necessarily do. So there are some differences that I think he's allowed to highlight and try to avoid having to be drawn into this discussion right now because, as he says, it's not the focus. It's not a lie to say that it's not the focus. And when he was in Massachusetts, I think he said this, that was the settled law in the state of Massachusetts, actually at the federal level at the time, and he was an executive. He was not a legislator. He was not trying to overturn the laws there. He was executing the laws, unlike this administration, which makes them up as they go along.
It would have been much better.
Or ignores them entirely.
Or ignores them when they don't like it.
It would have been much better if he'd said it the way you just said it, S.C. Unfortunately, he said it this way, which opens him up to questions about, but didn't you support defunding Planned Parenthood? Didn't you support the fetal pain amendment in the House this past summer? Didn't you support this, Prenatal Non-Discrimination Act? He's gone in and he supported many of these legislative acts you've talked about, Buck, suggesting, well, how are these not on your agenda? How is this legislation not on agenda? That being said, I want to say this. Okay. The problem is it reinforces the narrative the mainstream media wants to have a discussion about, and that is he's moderating, he's lying, he's changing his positions, doing anything to get elected.
He was vague. If vague is lying, then yes, he was lying. He was just vague on his answer.
Vague is not lying.
Exactly. So he's not lying. He was vague, and I think that was a smart move to take because why take that stance? He could keep playing the middle here and play both sides, and if he can do that, let him go.
Anyone who's pro-life in this country kind of know. I mean, we've talked about how Obama's record on this, amazing amazingly is just not even something that anyone can talk about. His record, by the way, as a state senator, which is abhorrent, I would say. I mean, I will make that case, and I don't shy away from it. But the fact of the matter is, if you're even vaguely pro-life, I mean, if you think you're pro-life at all, you're already on the Romney side of things. So there's nothing to be gained for him going, hard line on this. He has to sort of dance a little bit. Dance for another month.
Yeah, keep dancing.
He seems to. We have to say is he has mastered vague, right? I mean, he has made vague a campaign asset. Well, now it's talking about his tax cuts and not talking about what his deductions will be to this, and it's left the left absolutely pulling their hair out.